Hello, this is Chip Caldwell, providing a brief overview of CBA's GPS system for on-time, real-time, every-time strategic results. If conducted, the on-site workshop for senior leaders is composed of 3 steps. First, there's some pre-work and homework and a survey monkey of the senior leaders to determine readiness and recognition of the success factors for strategic planning in general and optimizing the GPS results assurance system in particular. Secondly, there's the workshop itself, in which leaders enter their discrete tasks and contingency plans into the GPS system. And then finally, the go live, in which the senior leaders are provided with on-time, real-time, every-time application feedback. So the pre-work is to study the principles of senior level project management materials that are contained in this PowerPoint, which includes the CBA 6-step GPS process. It includes solving for common results slippage, which come in 2 forms: strategic impact slippage and time slippage, and developing contingency plans for both of these types of slippage, results and time slippage, and then to initiate the strategic implementation process using the GPS system. First, a little bit about project success variables that you must control to be successful, whether they are within your control or not. Project success is limited by many variables, some of which are beyond an individual's control, but certainly not beyond discernment and planning diligence. They come in several forms. There's time schedule slippage, which includes waits between steps. There's complexity, that is, number of steps, the number of other people required for the strategy to be successful, others that you must depend upon. There's, of course, organizational politics and culture that can slow or prevent success. There are competing priorities, not only yours, but others that you can't control. And then finally, and most importantly, there is the success factor of early detection and prediction of project slippage. So what are some of the planning tasks for project slippage? Well, first, it's to acknowledge that there are 2 types of slippage. There's strategic result slippage, which can be caused by overestimating the strategic impact or the financial impact of a particular strategy. And there's the underestimating build-up time from the time a project is completed until the full strategic results begin to accrue. And the second type of slippage is time slippage, which can be caused by underestimating how long a task will take, or underestimating a wait or a delay from the completion of one task until the beginning of the next one, or thirdly, a surprise that wasn't planned for. So the key element here is that success is dependent upon predicting potential slippage points in advance, and also in advance developing contingency plans even if they're never used or needed. So what causes these types of slippage? Well, first there's hope creep. That is setting unrealistic expectations for either results or outcomes, for setting unrealistic expectations for required duration time, for unplanned waiting time between tasks, or to failure to plan for the impact of other competing priorities. There's also capability creep, that is, overestimating staff skills to complete a particular task. There's the unknowns, the unknowables, and the inevitable surprises. Failure to predict and detect potential slippage points and to, in advance, develop effective contingency plans is the #1 singular reasons projects and strategies fail to achieve the required or needed impact. So what are the tasks and techniques to solve for these 2 types of slippage? Well, first, there's the notion of detecting and predicting before the project is initiated or the strategy is initiated. That is to say, if task C is delayed by 2 weeks, What tasks can you design into your plan before it's launched to get back on track? There are contingency plans. It's really not a matter of if your project will slip in either required strategic results and or time slippage, but rather being able to predict slippage. Contingency plans to close the impact of slippage is a critical and crucial project planning factor, all created in advance. There's the notion of independent or initiating dependent tasks earlier. That is, it'd be better to finish a project or a strategy earlier rather than late. There is the technique of parallel processing non-dependent tasks, tasks that can be done in any order. And then finally, a technique of inserting detector and predictor steps in a process so that there's an early alert system to the strategy owner that, whoops, it looks like we're going to slip in either results or time or both. So the CBA six-step GPS process is intended to solve for all of these types of slippage and to insert the key techniques just reviewed into the planning process itself. That six-step method is first achieving approval of the SMART initiative and project charter. The second is to complete a very detailed project plan, including tasks, milestones, weights, and the ever-important slippage detection predictors and slippage contingency plans. Third is to enter into the online GPS system, which we'll review in just a minute. Fourth is to launch the project or the strategy, and then begin the loop of monitoring tasks, milestones, and predictors, and deploying contingency plans when they're needed or called for. And then finally, let's celebrate. So as you begin to complete your strategy planning, your project planning, here are 4 questions that would be helpful to have your colleagues review with you as sort of an extra pair of eyes and ears on your plan. The first is, how confident are you in achieving the required strategic result by the required deadline? Secondly, can you get feedback from your colleagues about improvements you can make to complete the strategy or the project sooner? Thirdly, can you gain confidence as you explain your plan from your colleagues that you have inserted adequate slippage predictors and that those predictors would be effective? And then finally, can you convince and convey confidence to your colleagues that you've pre-designed contingency plans that address result slippage and time slippage? So let's take a look then at the CBA GPS system, online system. Well, you can see here, for those of you who are familiar with Accelerator, it is a tab. Clicking on the tab then takes you in this representative example of inserting your goals. Here, Baldridge Winter Hill Country, they call their strategies always goals. This is customizable in the GPS system to be called directions, as Christus calls them, another GPS user, or pillars, as many organizations call them. So you can see here that Baldridge Winter Hill Country has 4 pillars: growth, people, quality, and stewardship on the left-hand side. And then here you can see their entries of the specific projects and initiatives that are aligned to achieve the strategic plan, along with who owns it, the due date, financial impact if there is one, and what the current status is. Now, the bottom half of that same dashboard, you can see 4 additional sections. The first of those is just a quick eye glance summary for the CEO or any senior leader or person involved in the strategy. For each of our strategies or pillars, how many projects or initiatives do we have? You can see here for growth there are 9. Then the second column, how many have been completed, and what was the goal, if there was a financial goal, and where are we on that track? The second column, circled here in red, recently completed tasks. Just can get, you don't want to get lost in the noise of trying to track the strategic plan, which is a fault of most strategy tracking systems that we compared this to or designed this from is to get rid of the noise. We just need to know what are the vital few. And so you can see recently completed tasks. The third section, upcoming tasks, due dates. So what's happening in the next 30 days that I as CEO or CEO, COO, or senior leader, who do I need to chat with when I bump into next about, hey, how are you coming, Mike, on quantifying market share opportunities that you put into your plan. And then the final section, as you can see, is just a quick at a glance, who's behind. And you're going to see in a moment a nifty way of getting a quick update from those who are behind. So if we look at the actual screen itself, the initiative or project screen, the top two halves, top half shows what goal does it relate to. And notice that a particular project or initiative can address additional pillars or strategies. Here, this particular one touching on both growth and people. And then you can see the initiative name. In this particular case, a CSG contract review is the strategy or the project initiative. The owner is Mike Lane, and here is the control or predictor contingency plan factor that I spoke of earlier. Simply clicking on the request update, as you'll see on the next screen or the screen after, is a way to keep on track of project tasks in an efficient way. And then here's the bottom half. So you can see the number of tasks in this particular initiative or project is 5. 4 have been completed. So you can see it's 80% complete with an estimated financial impact of $5 million. And then circled in red, you see those 5 tasks that make up this particular project or initiative called CSG contract improvement. And if you need to add a new task, say, whoops, I forgot to get compliance's eyes on this contract, then you can just quickly click on add a new task, insert compliance, review, and approval, and insert the vice president in charge of compliance and assign that task to him or her, and you can track it within the system from there. And so here you see the screen of requesting an owner update. All you have to do is to click that little hyperlink that was below Mike Lane's name in the slide 2 slides ago. Click request an update. You don't have to do anything else. You could choose to send an email independently if you want, but most of us are pretty darn busy, and so why go through that extra step? All you have to do is click request update, boom, it's out, and you'll get an email response back from the individual who was responsible for that task. Let's take a look at the reports. There are several reports, and I'm only going to review just a couple. Folks like Gantt charts, and they've become over the decades, a popular way of viewing tasks. You can see here green would indicate that the task, the Gantt chart timeline, that task is on track. You can see red is not on track, and blue, it's not started yet. And the bottom half of that same Gantt chart gives a table view of the same tasks, just in a table form versus a timeline form. And you can see once again, green suggests we're on track or it's completed. Red is, whoops, this one is late. And blue, the beginning date has not arrived yet. You can also have a report for the CEO. This is entitled the CEO report by strategy. So here the CEO or anyone can get as much detail as you want. This is a detailed report, but it does give the advantage of red highlighting to sort of quickly see that this particular strategy, not the task level, but the strategy is predicted to be late based upon one or more of the tasks being late. This is a good board level review for boards that like to see these kinds of things. You might also like to see it by responsible person, in this case by vice president. So here you have the same inputs. It's still the strategic initiatives and projects along with all their tasks, but here we have it organized by person. So here we see CFO Bob Waters. It shows all of his tasks within the strategies and whether they're complete or late. That concludes then the review of the GPS system. I hope this review has been helpful. There is a lot more detail behind the scenes, and your Caldwell Butler person or I would be happy to give you a more deep dive into the application. But hopefully this has been able to show you that the Caldwell GPS system really does stand above and beyond most applications and could be a strong tool in your toolkit. Thank you for your time and have a good day.